rock tells a story. Hello students! Welcome to our video lesson. We are Fantastic!
Let us test your knowledge before we begin the lesson. Could you please identify these jumbled letters? Objectives are identify the different agents of weathering and identify the different types of physical, chemical, and biological weathering and describe physical, chemical, and biological weathering.
In this lesson, we are going to describe how rocks undergo weathering and the different agents that cause weathering on rocks.
These rocks are smaller, but it looks like the same type of rock as this mountain. The earth is constantly changing or altered physically as we have observed. The changes driven by different forces of nature create new landforms. One of these forces is weathering. This process includes degradation or breakdowns of rocks in smaller segments known as sediments. It occurs when mechanical force is applied on rocks or through chemical reaction happening on the surface or within the rocks. This is the list of agent weathering that you will encounter. Water, either in liquid or solid form, is one of the agents of mechanical weathering. In liquid form, it seeps into cracks and crevices of rock, and when the temperature drops, it freezes and definitely will expand in the form of ice. The ice then works as a wedge which slowly widens the cracks and splits the rock. When the ice melts, the liquid water performs the act of erosion by carrying away the tiny rocks fragments lost in the split. Salts. In the process of haloplasty, salts serve as an agent of weathering. Salts sometimes get into the cracks and pores of rock. When it evaporates, salt crystals are left behind and grow in the cracks and pores which cause pressure on the rock and slowly break it apart. Temperature. Temperature changes can also contribute to weathering through the process called thermostress. During thermal stress, rock tend to expand with heat and contract with low temperature. As that happens repeatedly, the structure of the rock weakens and over time crumbles. Plants. Plants also serve as agent of weathering. And contribution take place when the seed of tree is being spread in the environment's growth in soil that has collected in a rock. As the roots grow, they widen the cracks, eventually breaking the rock into pieces. Over time, trees can break apart even large rocks. Even small plants such as mosses can enlarge tiny cracks as they grow. Animals. Animals that tunnel underground such as moles and prairie dogs also work to break apart rock and soil. Other animals dig and trample rock above ground, causing rock to slowly crumble.
Physical weathering. Physical weathering is caused by the effects of changing temperatures on rock, causing the rock break apart. The process is sometimes assisted by water. It happens especially in places where there is little soil and few plants grow, such in mountain regions and hot deserts. It occurs either through repeated melting and freezing of water, or mountains and tundra, or through expansion and contraction of the surface layer of rocks that are baked by the sun, or hot desert. Example, Kapurpura 1 rock formation at Burgos, Ilocos Norte. There are three main types of physical weathering. First, abrasion. It occurs when rock surface is frequently exposed to water, wind, and gravity. Second, freeze. It occurs when water continually seeps into cracks, freezes, and expands, eventually breaking the rock apart. It occurs in mountainous regions like the Alps or Snowdonia. Exfoliation. It can happen as cracks develop parallel to the land surface as a consequence of the reduction in pressure during uplift and erosion. It occurs typically in upland areas where there are exposures of uniform coarsely crystalline igneous rocks.
Chemical weathering. Chemical weathering is caused by rainwater reacting to the mineral grains in rocks to form new minerals, such as clay and soluble salts. These reactions occur particularly when the water is slightly acidic. These chemical processes needed water and occur very rapidly at higher temperature. So warm, damp climates are the best. Chemical weathering, especially hydrolysis and oxidation, is the first stage in the production of solids. Example, a Purpurean rock formation in Burgos, Ilocos Norte. There are different types of chemical weathering. First, carbonation. Carbon dioxide in the air dissolves in rainwater and becomes weakly acidic. This weak carbonic acid can dissolve limestone as it seeps into cracks and cavities. Over many years, solution of the rock can form spectacular cave systems. Second, hydrolysis. The breakdown of rock by acidic water to produce clay and soluble salts. Hydrolysis takes place when the acid rain reacts with rock forming mineral such as feldspar to produce clay and salts that are removed in solution. Third, hydration, a type of chemical weathering where water reacts chemically with the rocks, modifying its chemical structure. Example, H2O or water is added to CaSO4 or calcium sulfate to create calcium sulfate dihydrate. It changes from anhydrite to gypsum. Lastly, oxidation, the breakdown of rocks by oxygen and water, often giving iron-rich rocks and drastic colored weathered surface.
Biological weathering. Biological weathering of rocks occurs when rocks are weakened with different biological agents like plants and animals. When plant roots grow through rocks, it creates fracture and cracks that result eventually to rock breakage. It can be classified into biological weathering by physical means. Burrowing animals like shrews, moles, and earthworms create holes underground by excavation and move the rock fragments to the surface. These fragments become more exposed to other environmental factors that can further enhance their weathering. Furthermore, humans also indirectly contribute to biological weathering by different activities that cause rocks to break, and biological weathering by chemical compounds. Some plants and animals also produce acidic substances that react with the rock and cause its slow disintegration.
Now, let's have a recall about our topic. First, what is weathering again? Weathering is a process where rocks undergo degradation, breaking down into smaller sediments due to mechanical or chemical forces on the surface or within the rock. What are the agents of weathering? The first one is water, the second one is salt, the third one is temperature, the fourth one is plants, and the fifth and the last one is animals. What are the types of weathering? The types of weathering are physical weathering, chemical weathering, and biological weathering. We also have a type of physical weathering called abrasion, freeze-thaw, and exfoliation. Chemical weathering has carbonation, hydrolysis, hydration, and oxidation. And in biological weathering, it has biological weathering by physical means and biological weathering by chemical compounds. And that ends our discussion. Thank you for listening, and I hope this lesson has helped you learn anything. Once again, this is Fantastic from Aliaga Senior High School. At all times prepared to bring you joy and knowledge. Till our next discussion, goodbye!